What's up, guys? Yeah, we're a little behind with this one, but I am super excited to talk about this latest episode of Fire Force. So let's get started because this is a hell of an episode. So I like this episode right out of the gate because we get a lot more information about the world that we are now in with this Fire Force episode, and it's really cool because we're introduced to another fire company, and this one is Fire Company 5. And there is way more going on with Company 5 than I thought, which we're going to get to in a bit. But let's just get into the character of Company 5. So Company 5 seems to be a much more well-established fire company. They even say this towards the end of the episode, where they have a science division, whereas Company 8 does not. And they have significantly more matchboxes, they have more members, and they have a very pious, high and mighty character running the whole thing, which is Princess Hibana, who is their fire company captain. She uses the recruits as chairs. She uses them as stepping points as she walks away from the ones who are chairs. She's a very unlikable character, let's just put it that way. And overall, it just seems like she is designed to be sort of not a bad guy, but a definite protagonist to our main characters, especially, it seems, Fire Company 8's captain, Obi. Though she does also give Shinra a pretty good run for his money, but I think that was mainly just because some sort of ability that she has either restricts his fire ability or weakens him. I'm not really sure what her abilities are yet, but it does seem like she's some kind of second-generation fire soldier, so I don't know. We also learn in this episode a little bit more about those ashes the Joker was using, because some of their composition is made from the ashes of infernals, and Obi clearly doesn't take too kindly to this, calling it using the ashes of the dead, which is right. I mean, it's kind of sick, and apparently nobody really knows much about Joker, and they're not reporting on it either. We also get a hint at something that I'm really curious to see what happens. So, if you remember last episode, Obi said that it seems as though somebody in one of the fire companies knows what causes the infernals, like already knows what causes the infernals. My initial guess was Company 1, and I only did that because we really have not been introduced to any other company members until now, where we have Company 5. But I don't think it's Company 5 who knows. I don't think it's Company 1 who knows. I think it's Iris in Company 8. And the reason why I say that is because if you remember what I was saying way back when we first started, there is a whole lot of story that happens in the very ending music part of the episode. We see the entire sort of story told from what it seems like Iris's past. But in this, we have a moment with her in the church part of what looks like, I think, still Company 8's cathedral thing. And she has a burnt picture of her, I guess, when she was at one of the churches. And she says the original sin, the fire of the original sin. And that seems like she knows what originally caused the start of these infernals. I don't know if that is actually the case. I really hope that it is, because it seems like it'd be a really cool sort of plot twist. But yeah, she knows something that we don't. She knows something that Company 8 doesn't. And this very subtle moment right there, that shows, or at least it seems like they're trying to show, that with the way she acts, the smile, the kindness, the not even kindness, just the way that she is, that seems to be like she's putting on an act. She goes from very sort of somber and kind of stoic looking to a smile. So that kind of makes me feel as though when she is smiling and interacting with people, she is putting on a fake smile. Or maybe she's just really good at coping with the loss of everybody she's ever known, except for one person, but it seems like they don't get along very well. Again, we're going to get to that at the end of the episode. Now, during this episode, we also get a couple things that are sort of funny. We see that fire companies for special, like the special fire forces, are often confused with regular firefighters and get called all the time. And so that leaves us with Shinra and Arthur going to save one of the mascots out of a tree. Sure, why not, I guess. I think it's kind of funny the way they do that, because it is just very like, oh, they're confused. They confuse us all the time. Yeah, but there is so, like, the fact that he can fly up and grab this dude and hover back down with his fire feet, like, get the regular firefighters. I would have just been like, nope, click, I would have just hung up. Either way, that happens. Then we get a bit of backstory in the world. So we learn that there was a firefighter. I think he was a regular firefighter. I don't think he was a fire soldier, but a regular firefighter who murdered people, who murdered, I think, 4 people, I think they said 4 or 8, I can't remember. But he was on trial, and that trial became very interesting very quickly. But we discovered that the reason why the fire mascot was thrown into the tree was because of that, sort of had a link to that incident where it was people don't really trust the fire force at this point. But we learned that his trial for those murders was taking place that day, and we get to see what happens. He turns, the guy who murdered people, turns into an infernal, but an infernal that we've never seen before, that actually, and I like the way they did this, breaks the rules of the established world as is. Now, we got a small hint at the fact that we may not be getting all of the information about the Infernals right at the start when we, I think last episode when we encountered it, or the episode before. It was definitely the episode before that, episode 2, where we encountered the Infernal who sat at the table and didn't set anything on fire. So early on, they established the rule in this world that when you become an Infernal, you lose your sense of self. But we see it hinted that that is not always true. The Infernal who was in the house in episode 2, he was still containing the fire. He was not burning anything. He wasn't moving. He was just essentially just sitting there waiting to die. So we get that, and we end up seeing the rules broken even more in this episode. So the way the rules are broken in this episode is the dude remembers who he is. He knows what he did. He remembers his past. He has a sense of self, and he can talk. That is pretty nuts. And we even have Hinoa saying that when an infernal, or when a person has a strong connection to life, some of their sense of self will carry over, but he's never seen it to this degree. Fire joke. Get it? Degree, temperature. Kill me. Anyway, so we see the most extreme version of an infernal remaining sort of lucid, as they said, and he continues to fight. He continues to try to play tricks on people, and we have, at this point, Company 5 being made aware of this and going to the scene and meeting up with Shinra, who has to go without any of his fire uniform or anything because he was out still when the call happened. And oh gosh, poor Maki is just like, I'm sorry, because she was the one who sent them out, and Hinoa is now saying that he's going to redefine their definition of punishment. And when I make references to some of the lines, I've been watching it in both sub and dub just because I like to watch it sort of in the background, listening to what's going on and sort of being able to do other things. So I'll watch it in the dub. For the detail stuff, I'll go back in and make sure that everything is the same and that I'm not missing anything by watching the sub. I'll watch the dub and the sub together. Either way, that out of the way, don't hate. Moving on. So yeah, Shinra has to go fight him, and Shinra shows off an immense amount of power. He kicks a car up, he kicks a car down. He's called a devil by the Infernal himself, and at a certain point, the Infernal tries to plead and say, can't I just have a sister, pray for me before I'm killed? I'm scared. And Shinra agrees, only to be obviously betrayed, and he kicks the Infernal's arm off. Man, that is so weird to see one of those characters still interacting and stuff. But then Fire Company 5's captain shows up, and she puts Shinra in his place. I don't know why I did air quotes. No, actually, I know why I did air quotes. She puts him in his place and says, lick my shoe. She's trying to treat him like gravel, even though with Fire Company 5, they don't very well treat their, I guess, introductory members, the basic members, but in Fire Company 8, everyone seems to be family. And that, I think, is part of why we have this character now who is a good guy, but not a likable character in any way, shape, or form. And we have Shinra break free from the ones who were holding him down. They're like Charlie's Angels of Firefighters. So he escapes from them, and that's when we see Hibana pull his power away and weaken him somehow. And I want to know what her abilities are. It's kind of interesting. But then, while all this is happening, we end up getting Obi and the rest of Fire Company 8 showing up. Fire Company 5 captures this Infernal to research him, and I don't really know if she's going to keep her word when Obi asked if she'll share the information. I don't know if she'll actually keep her word on that. It seems like there's a lot of tension with those two. Granted, Obi backs down because, well, he's not powered, but he is powerful. And not many people seem to really know that. They just know that he doesn't have any fire abilities, including a fire soldier from Company 5 who seems to really have an inflated sense of ego. And at this point, Arthur and Shinra get up on him and start yelling at him. And I love, again, best girl, period. My opinion, but that's best girl. Goes over and punches him square in the gut. And it seemed like Hinoa was going to be frustrated with her, and he just gives her a thumbs up. She gives a thumbs up back. I love it. Also, side note with Best Girl. I keep calling her Best Girl because that's my opinion. Fight me. Anyway, it seems like with her ability, she seems to like making these, I don't know if they're actually sentient or if she just gives them faces, but these sputter things. And we see another example of it when she uses Sputter Comet against this Infernal, and then when the Infernal just blows the Sputter Comet away, she's like, I'm so sorry, or what is this, Sputter Comet-san? I don't know, I like that, but it is kind of funny to see her method of using those sort of fire abilities. After the interaction, we have this sort of prolonged cut between both Hibana and Iris. And I was wondering why, and I had a thought, I'm like, maybe there's something that was hinted at in the ending part that we have this massive story in. Sure enough, the point in the ending where we see them playing the piano, who does that look like? Who does that look like? You can't tell me it looks like anybody else, because look at the eyes. That is Hibana. So she was also a sister, or training to be a sister, at the same church as Iris, and she also survived the fire that happened at that church. So I'm wondering then if not only Iris knows what causes the Infernals, but so does Hibana, or if perhaps Iris knows and Hibana doesn't, or vice versa, I don't know. But we know that there is a connection between those two characters, and that's told to us through the ending. I love that. I love that so much. It's awesome. I also noticed in that ending, they also showed for some reason like a black bar that gets in the way of the burning children's faces. I can't imagine why they put that bar there, but I don't think it really serves anything story-wise. I just wanted to point out that it was that way last episode too, so kind of weird. But yeah, so that means those two characters have some sort of knowledge of one another, or relationship perhaps, and it means that Iris really went one way with her methods in her life, where she is still very humble but kind of reserved and quiet, and Hibana went from presumably humility at a church to very pious and an elevated sense of self, and very rude and just nasty as a person now. I don't know, but I definitely like the way that this show is going. I love, oh my gosh, the animation in this show has yet to disappoint me, because there just are such a neat, there are so many neat ways that they've mixed different styles with like the still animation while everybody's running out, where it just shows that like time standing still, everybody needs to escape, but it's like just a horrifying moment. The slow down, stop time thing when Hibana lands between the Infernal and Shinra kicking the car around like a boss, all of that. And the fact that we're still getting elements of world building, as long as they don't continue to build the world all the way up until the last episode of the season, like as long as there's a point where we have the established rules of the world, they understand that we know that, and they stop like spoon feeding it to us, as long as there's a point where that happens, I'm all right with this level of world building, because it's awesome when we are given an established set of rules. Some of those rules are broken, but they're broken in a way that allows for the story to progress and allows you to kind of start thinking for yourself about what that means if those rules no longer apply. Either way, I genuinely enjoyed this episode. I think it was one of the coolest episodes so far, to see just how much we've got to look forward to with Infernals being able to hold on to a sense of self. We've got more lore with the world. We have characters who are being introduced who seem to have some level of a past with other characters we've already been introduced to, but we don't know what. It's all getting good, and I am so excited to see what happens next. Either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review and breakdown of the episode. It is so exciting to be seeing a new series that I haven't seen before from a writer who I've seen things like Soul Eater before, and I'm loving every minute of it. I hope you guys are too. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know what we're at right now for subscribers, because this is coming out way after I record it, but hopefully we are over or close to hitting 34,000 subs. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, bell if you want to be notified, and apart from that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.